What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Strike like a lightning bolt. You feel the ground pounding, that might be the coast. Quick like a joke, like to hit when provoked. Don't you doubt that. That's a Jaguar to a house cat. That's an outcast to a whole squadron. If you talking Houston, then we've got a problem. You'll probably get the horns if you mess with the cattle. Sit back in your saddle and get ready for the fan battle.
Really quickly, just don't forget to plug Sam loves Jalen Ramsey. All right, everybody, have a great night.
One day I'll get you guys to take that off. Hello, everybody.
Nope.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the AFC South Fan Battle Podcast. My name is Samantha Wernett. I hope you guys are all having a fabulous Monday. Of course, you're catching us tonight because we do have a special guest instead of we have a special episode instead of our normal Sunday nights. But we thank you for tuning in, and make sure, if you are watching, that you're liking and commenting, because we'll be taking your comments during the show. Mm-hmm. So, as always, before our special guest, let me introduce our commentators for this evening. Representing the Colts, we have Chris Jackson.
In light of recent events, I will no longer be using terms like "I'm willing to bet my life" or "if I was a gambling man."
That's smart. Representing the Texans, we have Matt Briggs.
What up, everybody? Let's go.
Man, the saddest ones in the room. Representing the Titans, we have Morocco Taylor.
Yes, sir. How y'all feeling out there tonight?
And our special guest for this evening, we have Titans reporter Jim Wyatt. Hello, Jim. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great. Happy to be on here. Appreciate you having me.
Yes. So go ahead first, before we lead off, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and just for those watching that may be a fan of the other teams.
Well, I work for the Tennessee Titans, right, for their website now, TennesseeTitans.com. I've covered the team since 1999. I used to be beat writer for the Tennessean way back in the day. I'm a Nashville native, grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, never thought we'd have an NFL team here. And
still hurts. Yeah. It still hurts me. You're welcome, by the way.
I was kind of lucky. I went to school and started working for the newspaper in Nashville in the 90s, covered high school sports, college sports, you name it, I covered it. Tennessee and Regatta, Tennessee walking horse celebration, track and field, took bowling scores over the phone. I did all the dirty work, and then kind of paid my dues. And then, mid 90s, late 90s, started getting rumors about the Titans potentially moving about the Houston Oilers potentially moving to Nashville. And it happened. Yeah. It happened while I happened to be there, while I was kind of hitting my stride. I had some sports editors that believed in me, and they said, "Hey, how would you like to start covering the Titans and the Predators both?" This was 99, first year of the Titans. And I said, I'll give it a shot. I didn't know much about hockey. I had to learn on the fly there, but I knew a lot about football. So started covering the Titans in 99. That have turned into a full-time beat guy. The beat guy that I kind of worked behind, transitioned to another job in 2001. So I was a full-time beat guy from 99 to 2015 when the team hired me, and I've been working for the team ever since. I've seen every game played at Nissan Stadium. I've been to every game, preseason, home, away, except for one. That was when I was covering a hockey trip back in 99 when the guy covering hockey couldn't make a road trip, so I had to make it for him. But I've seen it all, and I've seen a lot of games, some good football, some bad football, and certainly very familiar with every team in this division. So, I've been around.
Yes, it's funny because I'm looking behind you. I see all the tickets behind you. That's pretty neat. Is that for all the games that you've been to?
Yeah, and that's just a part of them. Like I've got a wall full of
Oh, that is so cool.
Those are my credentials, but then I've got a drawer full here, just waiting for more. I've got stackfuls of these things.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's a cool idea.
It
Yeah,
reminds me how long I've been on the road. Yeah.
That's the one thing I miss, like when we went digital, I liked like that you didn't like get halfway to the stadium. You're like, oh man, I left my tickets at the house or something. But that's the one thing I miss is having that tangible ticket, It's so like, love to see it. That's a really good idea. I like it.
I've got some. Yeah, I think I've got one from maybe that 1999 AFC Championship game down in Jacksonville back in the day.
Jim, it's so early. It's so early in the podcast. Why you gonna hurt my feelings?
Look, he's going deep, quick. I love it.
I know, right?
I love it.
Oh, well, so to start off, so for those watching, we're gonna just kind of go around. We're gonna let Morocco lead it off since he is the Titans fan. We'll give him the glory tonight. We give enough crap to the Titans, any other week. So we're gonna give Morocco the glory tonight. But so we're just gonna ask a couple questions and just get your takes on it. So I would like to start something very surface level. You did mention that you've been working with the Titans since day one and you've been at Nissan Stadium. How do you feel? This will be a combo one, actually. How do you feel about the new stadium and everything coming? Like, how's it all moving along? What are you the most excited about? But then also, second question that you could follow up. Which quarterback is your favorite in the AFC South and why is it Trevor Lawrence?
I am.
That's
excited
for that 90. That's for that 99 comment.
I am excited about the new stadium. It is going to be weird transit. It's hard to believe, that it's already time for this stadium that's currently playing in that is outdated and at the point that it needs to be replaced. But that's kind of where we are. The team had a decision to make and kind of worked with the city in making the decision on what was the better option to try to make upgrades and pay a big expense to get that stadium where it needs to be or to build a new stadium. And decision was made to build a new stadium. It's going to be beautiful. I feel like, Nashville is a great NFL city for a number of reasons. Part of the reason is because you can have a stadium right across the river from downtown and people could stay in those downtown hotels and walk to the stadium on game days. This is going to be an indoor stadium, which is going to allow the team and the franchise and the city to be in competition for Super Bowls.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been to all three. I've been to Jacksonville for a Super Bowl. I've been to Indy for a Super Bowl. I've been to Houston for a couple of Super Bowls. So Nashville is due to have one of those here. I think it would do it well. But, Final Fours and college football playoff games, all that could be here. But I think it'll be a spectacular venue. Still a ways from being done. It's not going to be ready to 2027. I think they'll break ground on it sometime.
Oh, wow.
Next
I didn't
spring,
realize
fall.
that. Wow.
Yeah. So hopefully I'm still around then. But
yeah.
So it'll be great. And Trevor Lawrence, I'm sure he'll still be playing then because I do. Again, I work for the Titans, but certainly respect good players in the league. And Trevor Lawrence is one of these guys who I think everybody in Nashville knew when he was picked by the Jaguars that this is a guy that's going to be a franchise quarterback and a stud for a long time. And I think he's just starting to come into his own. And I hear good things about him. I've got a buddy of mine at, Brian Mullen, who works for the PGA Tour that I had dinner with last time I was in Jacksonville. Was it the First Street? Not the First Street Grill's been closed, but was it Fish Camp down there in Jacks Beach?
Yep.
Area? Said he sees Trevor Lawrence in there a lot of times, and he's always been real nice to his son and everybody, nice to anybody he encounters. I know he's a first class guy and really good quarterback. And I think other quarterbacks in the division now, the two youngins have got something to prove. So I think I've got to say that Trevor Lawrence is number 2 behind Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, mega burn. So I'm going to tell you a funny story real quick before we go on to Matt's question. So I was actually in Nashville last January, and it was when, since you wanted to bring up 99 and stuff, I got to tell you this story real quick. I happen to be, you know, of course, what every girl goes to Nashville for. Of course, you know,
Bachelorette party, yes.
Yes. Okay. So I'm up there, and my friends don't watch football, but I do. So this was the weekend that you guys were potentially going to be hosting the AFC Championship game there, and I said, guys, you know, we're gonna have to book. Like, we're gonna have to think about this because the football game, you know. But then it didn't happen. So we go down there, and I have a Jaguars beanie on. It was cold. It snowed. I got to see snowfall for the first time in my life, by the way. Native Floridian, wonderful. So I get on this bus tractor thing, and the guy looks at me and he's like, "You got some nerve wearing that beanie around here." I said, "Oh, really? Why, you guys play tomorrow?" He's like, "No, do you?" I said, "No, but I know we suck, so you're not telling me anything I don't know," you know? So then he literally takes this tractor, and I guess normally they go around like Broadway. He literally took it down to Nissan Stadium and wrapped Nissan Stadium. And then all the other girls on the bus were like, "Woo," you know, having a good time. And I'm sitting here like, are you kidding me? This guy just literally trolled me because he knows that I was talking crap and I can't get off this tractor bachelorette thing right now. So it was all in good fun. It was funny. But anyway, well, Matt, you got a question?
Well, yeah, I was going to ask what your thoughts of the other teams in AFC South, but you know what? You said you've been to every game. I was at this game. You probably were too. The Andre Johnson and Cortland Finnegan fight. How was it seeing that on the sidelines? Was it as great as it was in the stands, or was it even better field view?
Well, I was in the press box, and you know how high that is down there. So was at Reliance Stadium back in the day, but I've seen the replay 100 times, and of course Andre Johnson ends up being a Titan a couple of many years after that happened. Cortland was a pest, and I can say that because I watched him on a regular basis, and I can say that because as I mentioned, I wasn't always working for the team. I was working for the Tennessean back in the day, and I had to go to Cortland Finnegan on why he got fined for this, or hey, I heard you got fined $15,000 for this, or why'd you do that? So I was kind of a pest to him too. He didn't like reporters all that much, and I was wearing a different hat back then, so I kind of butted heads with Cortland a little bit, and I don't want to say he ever threatened me, but certainly I was sometimes nervous going around him. So, and a lot of reporters had some run-ins with him. So we weren't surprised when that fight broke out. And I don't want to say some people thought that maybe he had that coming, but he picked on one too many guys there, and probably wishes that replay could just disappear.
Yeah, because everybody we talked to on the Texans podcast, former players, they said Andre Johnson is the most humble, polite, quiet guy you can ever meet, and it was just so out of character for him just to throw him on the ground and start beating him up. So
I couldn't believe the reaction from him because you're right. I mean, he has that reputation, but Cortland was like a chihuahua and just kept chirping and chirping. There's no telling what he was saying, and he obviously it was on. You could tell it was percolating, and then once it started, it was something.
Yeah, Michael Griffin said that's one guy you would love to have on your team, but one guy you would hate to face every Sunday.
Yes.
So
yeah,
he was a great success story here. Obviously a late round pick out of Sanford. Nobody knew anything about him, and he was a long shot when he came in here. But you could tell right when training camp started that this guy was going to be a special player, and he had a really good career. I mean, he was an overachiever, and he had a chip on his shoulder, and he loved to stir things up. But he, Andre wasn't having any of it that day.
No,
absolutely not.
Well, Chris Jackson, you got a question?
Yeah. So, I mean, well, you've been covering them since 1999. I think one of the first things that I ever saw from you, or one of the first things I saw, was like you with Eddie George, and being with them this long from when they started out as the Titans all the way to now, it's just like, how much has that identity and culture changed from then to now being like almost 25 years old.
Yeah, it has changed. Yeah, that's kind of my Twitter avatar. My kind of the shot in the corner is me walking with Eddie George. That was my first year covering the team, and that was really the first year as the Titans. And that was a different era. I got lucky. I mentioned the team came to town about the time I was really kind of getting rooted in as a big guy. And then they move here, and all of a sudden they're in the Super Bowl the first year. And they had a guy like Eddie George and Steve McNair and Javon Curse and Bruce Matthews and Samari Rowland, Blaine Bishop. I could go on and on. I mean, it was a great team. They went to they went to the playoffs 4 times the first 5 years as a Titan. They went to 2 AFC championship games. They went to a Super Bowl, and they really kind of spoiled the fan base here to some degree, because when the fall came, which was around 2004 was really the last. That was supposed to be the last year of that run, and then that team was ravaged by injuries, and then all of a sudden, you're 2005, 2006, you're picking early in the draft. So, but that team set the culture, and it really established the fan base here, because this team, nobody cared about the Oilers when they first moved to town, because they played in Memphis the first year and probably had 15,000 people going to games. They played at Vanderbilt Stadium as the Tennessee Oilers, and nobody really cared that much about them then. But once they became the Titans and moved into the new stadium, it kind of, started this fan base to grow. People got on board, and yes, they've had some tough times, but they've still got diehards that really originated back in those days. And it's it's fun to see. Morocco, I see his Eddie George and Steve McNair banner hanging behind him. I mean, those are the guys that helped put this franchise on the map here in Tennessee, and you still kind of feel that today.
Look, when the Oilers drafted those two, I was like, all right, here it is. Houston's going to have a great team. We're going to, and then.
Just kidding. We're moving to Nashville.
Surprise on you, sucker. Yeah. Broke my heart.
Yeah. That was so not only did that kind of create the culture for, the team for the Titans, but it also created the culture of the rivalry, I feel like, between the Jaguars and the Titans. That's where the rivalry started, because we were brand new. We were only 4 years in at that point. So that was I remember. I was little, but I remember, and I'll never forget.
Well, according to you, Sam, you were 6 years in.
What do you mean?
Oh, no, we're talking about your trivia when you got that Jags question wrong, but you answered the Colts question.
You're never going to let that go. You're never going to let that go.
Why would I?
Because they had it wrong. So they did a trivia, AFC South trivia, and one of the questions was, when did the Jaguars enter the league or play their own first game? One of the two. But one of the answers was 93, which is when we were announced. The other question was 95, but they had it wrong. So I got it wrong, but I wasn't wrong. I was right. So shut up, Chris.
No, you were wrong. but let me tell you, Jim, there was a question, probably 2 questions after that was asking specifically about like Peyton Manning. And then all you see is Sam's button light up like, oh, done, as soon as she has the chance to just be like, so that Jags question stumped you, but this one didn't.
Well,
listen,
I know all about my greatest enemy. That's all I can say. Okay?
Your greatest enemy?
Yeah, Peyton Manning, my greatest enemy. But let's move on to Morocco. And before we get to Morocco's question, I want to tell you a little story about me and Mr. Morocco this year. January? Yeah, it was in January. So he was ultra confident that when the Titans came to Jacksonville, they were going to win in Jacksonville. And I said, and go to the playoffs. Like, this was going to be it. And I said, let's make a bet then. And he said, okay. And the bet was he had to eat a spoonful of mayonnaise on live air. And he actually had to do it, and it was the most hilarious yet cringiest moment on this network, because he did it on the Titans show. So they brought me on the Titans show, and he did it on the Titans show, and it was so cringy, but I loved every minute of it. And sometimes I rewatch it when I'm bored. I just like to watch you eat mayonnaise, Morocco. What can I say? But go ahead, Morocco. We'll let you grab the last couple questions.
That's a heck of a lead-in, by the way, because
I have to tell everyone. I have to tell everyone that story. That's the greatest story ever. Like, how are you going to make a bet and be that confident and just mayo? Ugh.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the
Thank
first
you
time.
for that, Sam. And before I get to the questions, let me just say, man, it's such a blessing to be talking to you, Jill, man. I done caught you at a couple of games, but just never could get to you. Probably tried to shout out to you one time, man, but you were so far away, you didn't know who it was, or I just threw up my head. But like I said, man, it's a blessing talking to you tonight.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate it. If you see me next time, make sure you grab me.
I sure will. If I'm close enough, I'll definitely come shake your
All
hand.
you gotta say, Morocco, is it's me, the mayonnaise eater.
Yeah, he'll be the guy with the mayonnaise breath. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, let's go ahead and get to it. First question for you, man. I want to talk about Traylon Burks, man. I honestly think he's gonna be that dude, man. I mean, you got some people who feel that way, and some who feel like he's gotta, prove it a little bit more. But what differences have you seen from Traylon's rookie year until now?
Well, he does look good. I do think he still has to prove it, because I've seen some Titans fans saying, "Oh, they're better off with Traylon Burks and AJ Brown," and I'm not going there yet, because AJ Brown was a stud here in Tennessee. He was a stud in Philadelphia. Traylon Burks is not at that level yet. I'm not saying he can't get there, but he's got to do more to establish himself. And part of that, the big part of that, is just staying healthy. He's a completely different looking player this year than last year. This time last year, he was having trouble finishing a practice. He was having people ask him questions about his asthma, about his conditioning, whether he and his biggest issue was just staying on the field and being able to get better. And then the season started. He still struggled with that some. Then he had a turf toe injury he was dealing with. He had some other ailments that slowed him down. He really never hit his stride. He had some moments, but just was not really able to sustain it. He looks different this year. Like, he's been in the building the entire offseason. He's in shape. He looks stronger. I don't think he's dropped. It seems like every team period in OTA so far, and I've been in all 6 of them for the Titans, that seems like he's caught the first pass of every team period since they started doing that. And I don't think he's dropped a pass yet. So he's hungry. He's motivated. But, they're going to have to be good around him. And he's got to stay healthy. But, I do think he's going to turn out to be a really good player. I think Chig Okonkwo, the tight end, from Maryland, that was a draft pick last year, has got a chance to be good. They've got some young players with big potential, but need some other guys to step up too.
And it's perfect that you said that too, because that was my next question. Has there been any other wide receivers that have stepped up outside of Traylon?
Well, I think, they've got so many guys that have potential, but they haven't really showed it yet. I mean, Chris Moore, I know Texans fans are familiar with him. And, you watch the Cowboys game from last year, you think this guy is going to be a stud, but he didn't have a lot of games like that. I think the Cowboys game, he had 10 catches for 123 yards, and it's like a highlight reel in one game. But, he has got to prove he can do it on a consistent basis. I think he's been good this offseason. Nick Westbrook-Akina, fans are familiar with him. I think the other guys who have quietly had a good offseason and have a chance to emerge, Kyle Phillips is one of them. He's kind of a forgotten guy. He was a 5th-round pick last year out of UCLA, had an outstanding training camp, in joint practices against the Buccaneers. One of them, he was unstoppable. And then he started off the season good against the Giants. And then he had a shoulder injury, then had a hamstring injury, and he was pretty much on the shelf the rest of the season. If he can stay healthy, he's got a chance to be good. Racey McMath is another guy that has flashed in the past. He's got to stay consistent. But if you ask me to say who's been the best behind Burks this offseason, counting all the skill positions, I think I would say Tajay Spears, the running back, who's a draft pick this year, Chig Okonkwo, and probably Phillips.
Nice. Okay. So we're gonna move over to the quarterbacks. Now, Will Levis. I mean, everybody loves to hate him right now. But how has he looked to you overall, right? As of right now?
Well, it's crazy, during these OTAs, you know, somebody shot a video of him last week, and it was they've got a drill they work on where quarterbacks go through the bags. It's really a footwork drill, and then they kind of turn around, they throw into a net, and the net's got like 3 targets on it, and you're obviously aiming for the middle or the side. Well, he missed the whole net, and that was the video that hit Twitter, and And I think the caption underneath was very underwhelming day for Will Levis. And it blew up, people calling it, oh, this guy's a bust. Probably half of the Titans fans are University of Tennessee fans too, so they don't like Kentucky players. So the kid's already coming in here with people questioning him and a lot of skeptics. So he has a lot to prove. He hasn't come out and looked like Joe Montana right out of the gate, but he's not supposed to. He's a rookie. I think he has made progress. I mentioned I've watched all 6 OTAs. He hasn't thrown a pick since I've been out there. Yeah, he's missed some. He needs to improve his accuracy, but he's learning. And I can't say coming in the draft that he was my top quarterback. I think when I ranked him, I had Young and I had Stroud and I had Anthony Richardson. I think probably had him as number 5 on my list because I had Hendon Hooker above him because of a lot of the stuff I saw at Kentucky last year. But I think you got to factor in he was playing with behind a pretty bad offensive line. I think his receivers didn't compare to what some of the targets these other quarterbacks dealt with. And I think now he's here. He's just got to settle in and people have got to be patient with him. He's not supposed to play this year. Ryan Tannehill's going to be the starter. He was drafted 33rd overall to potentially be this team's future, and now he's got to just focus on getting better. So he's shown improvement since he's been here. He's not there yet, but right now I feel safe in saying he's a better option. I think is the number 2 ahead of Malik, and he's only been here for a month.
And it's crazy that you say that too, because him and Tannehill pretty much went through the same situation last year. I mean, Will Levis behind a bad offensive line, Tannehill behind a bad offensive line, struggling with the receivers. I mean, and now they on the team together. So, I mean, hopefully Tannehill can I don't want to say the word mentor because Lord knows, but hopefully Tannehill can show Levis a few things, and Levis can, take heed to what he's seeing and eventually step up into that role. But my next question is about Malik.
I'm sorry, the comment. The comment.
Which one?
Say it one more again. And Tannehill will be the starter.
Oh yeah, he will be the starter. Let's get that.
Yeah, and what I said about Malik, and is I'm not trying to slide him when I say that about Will Levis being a better option at number 2. I think that's just being realistic. I mean, the Titans didn't pick Will Levis. Move up in the draft to get him at 33 to have him be the 3rd team quarterback. That's just the reality. And Malik has made strides himself, but when he was picked last year, the plan was for him to play potentially at the earliest 2024. Well, we all know what happened. Tannehill got hurt last year. He only played in 12 games. Malik had to play a bunch of games, and he proved that he wasn't ready. I think Malik has been great. I don't want people to misunderstand. I think he's been great in his willingness to do everything he possibly could to get better, and that's being in the building, that's getting himself in shape, that's spending extra time with quarterback gurus. But he still has a ways to go to get comfortable in an NFL offense. The guy that was getting plays called in from the sideline. He never been in a huddle before. He wasn't used to taking snaps from under center. So everything's new to him, and he's still learning. And Levis, on the other hand, he was in a pro-style offense in college. So he's just kind of ahead in his development, even though he's a rookie. And Malik's just got to keep getting better. And I'm curious myself on what's going to happen with him, because it's hard to keep 3 quarterbacks. And so the Titans are going to have a tough decision at the end of training camp.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad because a lot of times with players, especially quarterbacks, it's kind of like a rotation thing. Like if you're not ready at the time that you're needed, then you kind of fizzle out, and you see that happen a lot. So I kind of feel bad for Malik. I'm not gonna lie, but
and you got to keep picking. I mean, quarterback. That's what the 49ers did. You sometimes you just got to keep picking quarterbacks and hope you hit on one. That's what they did with Brock Purdy, and then took a flyer on him in the 7th round. And look what he turned out to be. Now Levis wasn't a flyer; he was taken again to potentially be the future, and because of that, it impacts Malik. And we'll just kind of see what happens from here on out.
Yeah. The Texans are doing it with Mills and now Stroud. So
the Colts did it too, just not with draft picks. They picked all the ones that nobody wanted. All right, Morocco.
They showed everybody the exit.
No, it's all good. You know, I wish that my team could spend over $1 billion in free agency over a decade, but we all can't be the Jaguars.
You know what? I can't even argue that because you're not wrong.
I'm sorry, Sam.
That's why I don't buy
1.1 billion. Sorry.
I don't buy jerseys anymore. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. All right, Morocco.
You have to buy rat repellent for when you go to the stadium.
No comment on that either. No comment on that either. I'm hoping we'll be following in the Titans' footsteps soon. They're working on that deal because, good God, that place. Ugh. Anyways, Morocco, you got a couple more questions and we'll have to wrap it up.
Okay, let's get to the defensive side of the ball here. I wanted to ask you another question, but I'm gonna go ahead and take a swing at the 2 real questions I want to ask.
He's got questions over here like a CVS receipt.
Let me show you. This are all the questions I had ready for Jim.
My God.
I can't prepare for it, but I mean, obviously, we're not going to be able to get to all of them. Maybe we can have Jim on the Titans Coliseum to chop it up with him some more so we can really talk some two-tone business. But
there you go.
Okay, so the question on defense I want to ask you, the Kevin Byard situation. I mean, everybody knows what Kevin Byard and the Titans are going through right now. But do you expect to see him back with the team tomorrow for mini counts? And also, if he doesn't show up, what will that mean?
Yeah, now tomorrow's a big day for that because Kevin Byard is a guy who has been here for the most part throughout every offseason program since he's been in the league, and maybe he's missed an OTA here and there, but he has made his presence felt here. He said he thinks it's important to be here, and this year he's not, and that's because of some things that have gone on behind the scenes because of his contract. And Ryan Carthon has made no secret about the fact that they asked him to take a pay cut, and I don't. Judging from Kevin's absence, I think that tells you he probably thinks he doesn't deserve to take a pay cut. I will say that I have heard optimism around that situation. People feel like close to it, feel like it's going to get resolved in a manner that keeps Kevin with the team. Mike Vrabel said he saw him at the golf course recently, and they had a good conversation. But tomorrow is the day when these off-season workouts become mandatory. So I do expect him to report. Now, I've also been around long enough to remember situations where guys report, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're on the field, because if they're on the field, then there are liability issues you potentially could be dealing with. So I don't know what it's going to look like tomorrow. I think Kevin's there, but I myself am curious to see whether he's out there. And, if you're a fan of the Titans or somebody that's affiliated with the franchise or not affiliated with the franchise, you want it to work out with Kevin Byard. He's a great guy, great representative in the in the city, done so much in Nashville and been just a great ambassador for the franchise. It's hard to picture him not being on this team. And if that doesn't end up working out that way, it's going to be weird, and they're going to be in a little bit of trouble because they don't have a lot of depth at safety, and that's one of the reasons why Elijah Molden's been working there this offseason.
Nice.
Before you ask your last question, Morocco, I have to bring up this comment, like especially for the people listening on the podcast, because it's so funny. It's so funny. He says, West V Mountain says Morocco's got more questions than the Titans scored touchdowns in 2022.
Yeah, I could help but to laugh at that one.
I was dying. I was trying to be quiet, but it was so funny. All right, go ahead.
It was a tough year. A lot of games with single digits and teens this past year.
Man, that was funny. All right, go ahead, Morocco.
Yes,
you better pick a good one. You better pick a good one.
If you would, just if one favor, I need one more question with him after this one, because the last question, it's pretty much going to be a great outro for Jim.
All right, you got it.
All right, so Christian Fulton, we know he missed the first week of OTAs. He reported back the following week. But when Mike Vrabel was asked about Fulton and his whereabouts, he simply answered no. Ooh. Is there any tension between Mike Vrabel and Christian Fulton?
Wow.
Well, Vrabel's in a little bit of a funny spot because, I think obviously he wants guys there. That's how you get better as a team. Christian Fulton's been a guy who's had some injuries during his time with the team. They want him there working with their training staff. They want him there to have eyes on him and help him get better. Vrabel can't call guys out necessarily for two reasons. One is because, again, it's not mandatory and it's voluntary, and you can't put pressure on these guys to show up, if it's not mandatory. And two, when Vrabel played for the Patriots, there were a lot of off seasons where he didn't show up for these off season workouts. So I think he knows it'd be a little hypocritical if he's coming down too hard on one of his players. Because if you get on the internet and Google Mike Vrabel and off season program, you're probably going to find some search results that mention him not being there. So that might have something. Yeah. So that may have something to do with it. I think Vrabel likes Christian Fulton. Vrabel did mention him earlier this offseason as being a repeat offender for certain injuries. I'm sure that struck a chord with Christian Fulton. So maybe there's a little something percolating there, but I don't think it's anything they can't get past here this offseason. Fulton's a really good guy and not looking to stir things up. Vrabel's looking to stir things up sometimes, but maybe not in this case.
All right. Last question, and we're going to go ahead and let you get on down, Jim. Adam Rank, he back at it again. I mean, everybody knows Adam Rank is a Titans hater. I mean, the first episode he had, the Titans ended up going to the playoffs and proving him completely wrong. Now, this time around, he says the Titans are going to go 4-13. And Jim, I know you don't do predictions, but can you tell everybody why they shouldn't sleep on the Titans?
I thought for sure this last question you asked what the Britches report was for week one against the Saints. But so I don't even know what that would be yet. But yeah, it's funny. I don't do predictions, and here's why. And I tell people all the time, like if I pick the Titans to go 13-4, people are gonna say, "Oh, this guy works for the team. He's the biggest homer around." And if I predict them to finish 4-13 like Adam Rank, then people will say, "Dang, this guy works for the team and he thinks they stink." So I stay away from predictions. I do think I remember the last time Adam Rank came out with a bold prediction, he looked pretty bad because the Titans turned out to be pretty good that year. Players say they don't pay attention to those preseason rankings. I don't know if Adam Rank has enough clout that he's going to end up on any bulletin boards. But I do think players pay attention to that. And Vrabel, again, sometimes he looks to stir things up. Maybe he tells some of these guys in the season starts, "Hey, people think you guys are going to be awful this year." I think the Titans have potential to be better. I have to give the Jags, just like when the Colts were running this division, just like when the Texans were running this division, I got to say the Jags are the favorites until somebody knocks them off. They had a good offseason. They beat the Titans twice last year. They do have a first-place schedule and some challenging games, but I think the Titans are going to be a contender for this division. A lot of things have to come together. We talk about the receiving core, a lot of question marks there. Burks looks great, but after that, A lot of guys who need to have bigger roles than they've ever had before on the offensive line. I say 3 of the 3 starters, 3 of the 5 will be new starters that they're counting on to kind of gel and come together. I think Tannehill, if they can keep him healthy, I think he's got a chance to play well. Derrick Henry looks like Derrick Henry still, and I mentioned Spears is a guy who's going to bring something to this offense. Chigga Okonkwo, I mentioned him again. He's another weapon. So those are some reasons offensively I think the Titans can compete. Defensively, I think they're there. I mean, Danico Autry is good. They signed Arden Key from the Jags. I know he's just got a taste there, and it's come to my attention that maybe some folks in Jacksonville thought Arden Key was taking too much credit for culture when he was there.
That's the running joke here now. I said something about his birthday that just happened. I said, Arden Key started his own birthday or something like that.
Yes, I think Mike Dempsey, my buddy from 1010 down there, mentioned that to me. So but with Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Autry, Harold Landry coming back after missing last year, a lot of guys in the secondary returning, I think the Titans have some players in place where they're going to compete to the end. They just got to stay healthy. If they have another year like last 2 where you've got 90 players playing and you're calling guys up to practice squad every week and signing guys off the streets, it's going to be another December to forget. But I think this team's going to compete. And I think somebody else is going to be eating that mayonnaise next off season.
Oh,
exactly.
Me?
Love it.
So Jim, what you're saying is that one of the other hosts on the Titans Coliseum will be eating mayonnaise next season.
That's right. Yeah, Morocco gets to pick. If you want, maybe it has them eat. What's just as bad as eating plain? What's worse than mayonnaise? I think you got to raise the stakes.
Well, if it's gonna be Sam, she's gonna have to eat a rat, right? I mean, that's
no,
that's,
I know absolutely
no.
no.
I ain't gonna make her do that right there. Mayonnaise is perfect for her. Matter of fact, I'll go and get the Dollar Tree brand of mayonnaise.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
I tell you what you could do to raise the stakes. I was talking to my brother-in-law. He was in town last week from Milwaukee, and for some reason he said he puts mayonnaise on his cottage cheese, which I think sounds god awful. So I think mayonnaise topped on cottage cheese would be a good betting stakes there.
You know what, Jim?
That man sounds like a masochist.
For a Titans
maybe
writer,
they do that in
I
Milwaukee.
liked you. For a Titans writer, I liked you until you said, "Ugh." Oh man!
No, I don't do that. That doesn't run in the family. That's my sister's husband that said that.
No, but you're suggesting. You're suggesting.
Maybe they put some cheese curds on top of the mayonnaise on top of the cottage cheese. That would be awesome.
It's getting
You're
worse.
suggesting I do that.
Jim get creative with it.
Yeah, I was about to say Morocco ended up winning that bet, and he'd be like, you know what? I got this teaspoon of mayonnaise. You know what? I'm gonna eat it with you. It's just like. Are you trying to punish her or reward yourself? Like, what are you doing here?
Sam got to tackle that baby by himself, and it is okay.
Yeah. And explain to me, Sam, where did the mayonnaise and the Titans, where did that kind of all begin? Do people from Tennessee apparently smell like mayonnaise? Is that what somebody came up with?
Well, the uniforms kind of look like the Mayo.
Yeah, but it's really a gossip, and it's never been proven. But allegedly there was a photo where one of the Jags fans went to the Titans game, and there was a Titans fan eating mayonnaise out of a jar. And so it has been the ongoing joke, and it has never stopped. And I remember one of the tailgates, I think it was the Bold City Brigade, literally did like a kiddie pool full of mayonnaise, like for the Titans game. So since it's like a rivalry, it's just kind of always stuck, and I think it's great. I love it.
Oh, don't forget the lady who did the I think she had like the big like Sam's Club Costco jars of mayo, and she did like a Guinness Book of World Records where she ate like 3 of those things, and she was from Tennessee. Yeah, and listen, in the Jaguars' defense, you guys drafted a quarterback who puts mayonnaise in his coffee. So
Morocco ain't the only one with mayonnaise on his bread.
That is true. He did say that he was kind of a joke, but it backfired on him because it's kind of he'll never be able to escape that. He was asked on draft night and said that was really just doing that for fun, but that's tough to live that one down. He got too much play from that
Especially
before
going to
the draft.
Nashville. Yeah, especially
Yes.
in Tennessee. So,
Also,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody puts mayonnaise in coffee just as a joke. Like there's a certain amount of dedication that goes into that. Let's be known to be like, sir, you don't have to lie to us.
but you
You
know
lie to
what,
yourself.
Jim? When we do have to pay up that bet for either Sam or Morocco, you got to come on so you can watch the
Oh my God.
you know, the
I
terror.
I do that.
people.
I'll do that.
It's like I won't make time that day.
See, the last time I lost a bet, I did it the smart way, and I had to donate to the Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee. But you know what? I'll do it. Why not? I believe in my team just as much. I'll
I
do
believe
it.
you
Got
eat mayonnaise on your own personal time because I ain't gonna lie. Every time you say something about mayonnaise, I just see the little sparkles come up in your eyes. Or whatever.
You got some room to talk over there too, Tone Blue. I'm just saying. All right, Jim. Well, listen, we really appreciate you coming on tonight
Very much.
Yes,
and
thank you.
answering our questions and dealing with us degenerates and our stupid mayo jokes. Tell us,
Speak for yourself. I'm awesome.
tell us, where to find you, like on social medias and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at J Wyatt Sports, Instagram J Wyatt Sports, and then TennesseeTitans.com is where you can find my work. And so OTAs wrap up in Tennessee this week. I'm sorry, minicamp wraps up in Tennessee this week, and then OTAs, and then get a little bit of break, and then we'll all be talking about training camp. So it's hard to believe how
Crazy.
close the season is. It really
Can't
is.
wait.
So
So fast.
looking forward to visiting all cities of all your teams. Always enjoy AFC South's great road circuit. Got my favorite spots to eat in each place, and I'm a Papacitas guy, Papa Do's in Houston, Iaria's in Indianapolis, a good Italian place, and then I try to always good food down at the beach. And I used to go to, is it Marker 32? That's back when I was
Marker
on
32, yeah.
Market 32 is back when I was on that Tennessean expense report. I think I ate again Market 32 the night before that AFC Championship game back in '99 season. I hate to mention that again, but that's back when you had the expense reports that they didn't. Tennessean used to send 5-6 riders to games, and we used to have huge expense reports. Now I got to watch it because expense reports makes my money I'm able to spend is not quite as much as it used to be. So I'm eating.
Yeah, got to save up for that stadium.
Places. Yeah. That's about right.
Miss Amy ain't having it.
All right. Well, real quick, guys, tell where to find you, and then we'll sign off.
Yeah, I'll start off. You can find me at A1 Day One Texans everywhere, Instagram and Twitter, and you also find me Wednesday nights with BT and Crenshaw on the Texans Fan Battle Podcast. Make sure you check it out.
Chris?
You can find me at CJ Colts Fan on Twitter, and also find me on the Horseshoe Mob podcast every Tuesday, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central.
And Morocco?
You can find me on Facebook at Morocco Taylor, and you can find me on Twitter as well at MFKA. And you can also find me on the Titans Coliseum podcast. Nah, we ain't doing that tonight. But you can also find me on the Titans Coliseum podcast Thursdays at 8:30 Central Time.
All right. And you can find me on Twitter at Sammy Football with an I, and of course on AFC South Fan Battle on Sundays at 9:30 normally. And we have the Jaguars Fan Battle. Make sure you follow us, AFC SFB. I always mess it up. And of course, we just launched Fan Battle Sports. So make sure you check that out too. Thank you, Jim, again so much. We really appreciate having you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim.
Okay, appreciate you guys having me on. Have a good summer and good fall.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right,
and Jim, don't forget, Sam loves Jalen Ramsey.
Oh my.
Yeah.